Well, it's morning, July 21st. I'm drinking my coffee, and I thought I'd just come out and take a look at the Supertunias and some other things growing here in the yard. So the Supertunias here have been, I'd say, doing well. But for me, the actual bubblegum pinks, while very vigorous, are not. They're not my favorite, actually. They have been possibly in this location. They get the wind coming through right there, and so here they have several times had some branches broken off. I've also been fighting back some aphids here and there that have come to roost, and a lot of it simply by going through and picking them off by hand. I've also sprayed BT on these little guys in the hope that might help some of it, as well as the fungus gnats. But here's what part that is interesting. So with the pieces that had broken off, I had actually tossed one little bit here just directly into the ground, and it did bloom. I'm just going to see if that roots, because I know that these Supertunias are rooted by cuttings. Then, let's see, also right here, this one is a different color, because this is a little piece that I just broke off the other day from one of the trailing silverberries and just popped in here, and it's clearly, it's sitting in here and working. So we'll see if that roots in too. And then who knows, maybe I'll get some of this trailing silverberry here after a month or so. We've got these pinks are going very prettily with the morning glories that I'd put in. I had just dropped a morning glory seed in to see what it would do as far as helping to get some trailers down here. And you can see they literally do last one morning and then die out. But they're kind of very pretty and fluffy when they are going at it. And you can see that they do twine over just about anything they can reach. All right, here we go. Elephant ears are definitely growing, and got to make sure I keep them watered. You can see how large this one is already. And there's a couple of Gladiolus thrown in. This ended up just being a mishmash pot. Hiding in here is a sunflower. There's more Gladiolus. We'll see if anything happens there as far as flowers go. And some peas that I had put in. And the peas are down there. They're actually producing some peas, which is quite lovely. There we go, amaranth. Or actually, take that back. These are Celosia. What I've noticed is that the red is more vigorous than other versions. I've got a yellow that is doing okay in the front, and the orange was just sort of sickly. Some Snapdragons, Cosmos. Let's see, obviously another elephant ear in there. Some more Snapdragons, and a morning glory over here that you can see is doing its thing. So what I really wanted to do was over here where you can see the neighbors through. I wanted to try to get things that would fill in with some vines and growth and just help block that. Here we go, some more pea plants. Obviously another elephant ear. This one here is what is that? I think it might be a sunflower. And then these, I think, are actually just the foliage, maybe from some little viola leaves. And then another morning glory that is very happy here with something to trail up. All right. And a morning glory from the top. So you can see just how pretty these flowers can be right when they're first open. And they coordinate, like they're almost just a different texture, but the same colors here as the Supertunia silverberries. Which, yeah, I'm definitely liking them a lot. They're going beautifully. They're kind of rounded and mounded. So far, they have not done a ton of trailing, but it's still early in the year. They have gotten attacked by aphids. Not very much, because I'm going through and just picking them. I've sprayed some soap, and I kind of check them every day or two and see what I can crush off. The hummingbirds really enjoy this salvia, and the bees do as well. So now look at this. All right, so this is a garden pea plant here, and some little violas, and a morning glory here. So I'd gotten some seeds because I knew they would grow fast, and they are. And then they try to take over and they'll climb up everything. But we'll see what happens. There's a couple of different colors of morning glories that are coming up downstairs as well. At least they should. But I had my first packet was all pink, and then we'll see more. All right, let's hop down. My compost maker there doesn't make compost very quickly, but we'll see. Okay, so the tomatoes are looking great. I've gone through and I've pruned out a bunch of the branches that were unneeded. I do have some little blooms happening here. So far, no like horrible blight or anything. Look at that, you can see there are little tiny tomatoes that are growing here. So we're gonna see what happens. A couple more glads. There's some zinnias tucked back there. The cosmos are growing. They're probably 14 inches at this point in front. I've got zinnias in, the last of some alliums that I'm just allowing to dry, and we'll see what happens. Who knows there? You can just see there's a little pea plant over there too. The sunflowers are finally starting to come up and actually, do something to really look like sunflowers. More zinnias and cosmos. You can tell I had sprinkled in just there's a couple of little radishes down there. Still one or two tulips that are gathering energy for next year. More cosmos, a couple of daffodils doing the same. Yeah, that's about it for this bed, but not too shabby. Well, okay, shabby in the way that everything is quite disorganized. Things were just thrown in here, but it gives me ideas for next year. Here is another tomato plant, two of them technically wound together. You can see there's some tomatoes on them. This sucks of water like you would not believe. I mean, it's definitely a thirsty plant. A couple of zinnias, maybe even some basil stuck down there. But we'll see what happens. Okay, and then here, a lot of this is repeats of the same. We've got one more little radish stuck there. And then here are more morning glories. And they are, as you can see, trailing out. They're trailing up. They're trying to get onto this mostly dead pear tree that I had purchased just as a lark to see if anything would happen. It's basically just turned into a stick. Here we have some zinnias and some cosmos and a little viola. I pinched some of the cosmos and left others unpinched. So we're going to see how that goes, like what happens with that. Really look at that. Those are pretty. More over here. All the things in here have just before when I plant them, it doesn't seem like so much, and then they actually start growing. And there's a beautiful little bloom. All right, I think the rabbit has finally been thwarted by filling it in and putting a rock on top of the hole it was trying to make. There's some yellow roses doing really pretty, and a Supertunia pink sitting down there. So far, this the Coleus is just sitting there. It really hasn't moved for like a month at this point. But the phlox behind it, two of the three phlox that I had last year have come up. The third one actually does have, the third one is not dead, but it has one tiny little bloom, or one tiny little sprout coming out versus all the rest of these. The perennial salvia from last year came back. I'm going to take the white ones and put them over by the roses at the suggestion of the middle-sized gardener, Alexandra. And hopefully that will help keep like black spot away from them. A a sad little stalk that had been in my front yard that I just popped back here to see what would happen. Let's see, burning bush. The hydrangea is actually having some leaves now. There's a couple of little lantanas that aren't doing anything, a little bit of daffodil foliage, and this is late July at this point, but some of the daffodil foliage is still gathering its energy. The rose bush is doing beautifully, and just, you know, it'll get these large flushes of blooms, and then I'll cut them off as they die, and then it'll get more, and it almost seems like it's getting a more red color as the season progresses. There's the dappled willow, little brother one, versus the enormo one. And then down here, these are the snapdragons. The yellow ones all came back from last year. This is a little hydrangea bit that has been coming back for a few years, never really gets much bigger than that. This is just a bad area for it, poor thing. Couple of gladiolus that are just beautiful, and look, thus far they appear uninfected by thrips. So we shall see. There's the black lace elderberry. As I put water down over here, I get mushrooms in this area, so I'm trying to figure out how to balance out that water. Here we go. Here are just some lilies that I had tossed in randomly and that came up and have already bloomed there, but there's another one coming there. So I had thought, you know, why don't I throw in a few I'll throw in a few lily bulbs and just see how they live, and you know, whether they could stay in the same area as all of the tulips and daffodils right here and not interfere with it, but give me more blooms in the summer. And then the same thing with a couple of gladiolus here, just a little experiment to see what happens. I do love the gladiolus, but I hate the thrips, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, very pretty. And then here's the yard from this perspective. So yeah, things are growing, which that excites me. Thanks for joining me. And if my nephew Kyle is watching, I love you, honey.